Deb, with Christmas being over,
Christmas is over.
that means we now give way to New Year's. And don't worry, we will appropriately rehash our Christmas Day experience for everybody who is hyper concerned about it. But my question to you,
Yes.
when you think of New Year's, what do you think of?
Gosh, you mean like what comes to mind? Just revelry?
Yeah.
Or for me specifically?
Anything.
Okay. Well, the first thing that came to mind was champagne.
Champagne.
So I'm going to go with champagne.
Okay.
I'm going to go with merriment.
Okay.
I'm going to go with, it doesn't have to be a large group, but people gathering together.
Got it.
In fact, in my world, intimate is probably better, meaning a few, not millions.
Shout out Ami.
Not 58,000 like in New York City normally has.
Yep.
And probably not even 15,000 like they're going to have this year.
Does a particular song come to mind for you?
Well, the Auld Lang Syne song, I guess.
Okay. This is my question as it relates to the cold open.
Yeah.
This is a song that we all know, right?
Well, we know Auld Lang Syne part.
Okay. So you are saying the name.
Yeah.
Spell that out for me. Because I, prior to searching for this song,
Yeah.
had no idea what it was called and in no way thought it was going to be called what it's called.
I think it's A-U-L-D.
Yep.
Old A-N-G.
Okay.
I don't know on the Syne.
It's A-U-L-D.
Oh, yeah.
Old.
First part, yeah.
L-A-N-G.
L-A-N-G.
Lang.
Okay, Lang.
Auld Lang Syne. S-Y-N-E.
Okay, yeah. I can picture that. You know what happens with the old A-U-L-D?
Yeah.
Old Lang, the L-L kind of gets right in there. So, yeah.
Do you know the lyrics to this? Let me start it over. Do you want me to start it over for you so you can try to sing the lyrics to it?
Is it like should old acquaintance be forgot?
All right, I'll start it right at the top.
Mind?
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, Deb.
I'm not going to sing.
Deb. All right,
Forgot.
I'll start it over real quick. And in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, should old acquaintance
That's not
be
singing.
forgot?
So, Deb, when I start it, you start singing.
I can't sing.
And a 1, and a 2, and a Deb knows what to do.
I'm not.
It looks like it looks like you didn't hit it right. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna count you in.
Stop it.
I'm gonna count you in. I'll play the song, and then you sing. I'll start it first. And Kevin, and a 1, and a 2, and Kev knows what to do. Follow me. Should old acquaintance be forgot? All right, so
And
Deb,
never
that's what you're gonna
brought to
do.
mind.
Okay, so Deb, let me count you in. And a 3, and a 2, and a
Stop
Debbie
it.
do.
Stop it. This is too
Old
much for all those people that are listening in the
be
morning
forgot. Debbie,
and
you.
never brought to mind.
Okay, keep going. Should old acquaintance be forgot and old long sin.
Syne.
Okay, so Deb,
I
you
kinda
nailed
know
it.
it,
You
yeah.
absolutely nailed it. Here's the thing. This comes with lyrics, right?
Of course.
These lyrics are not at all what I think them to be. Because it keeps saying Auld Lang Syne, which is should all the acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should all the acquaintance be forgot? And then what did you sing?
Days of Auld Lang Syne.
Okay,
Isn't
this
that
says
right?
and Auld Lang Syne.
Oh, I thought, isn't there part, look down a couple verses or two. Is
No,
the last
every
one,
single verse ends with Auld Lang Syne.
I thought it was in Days of Auld Lang Syne.
But
I'm
then
sorry.
there's a translation.
Ah.
And the translation at the end says, and days of long ago.
Oh.
You have successfully taken the original, what was written by Robert Burns, and you have combined it with the English translation and created such a nice hybrid.
Oh, thank you, Kev. Am I going to get any money for that? do you
No.
think? Oh, okay. Well,
Here's
there
the
you go.
thing that's really bizarre about this song. How long do you think this song has been around for?
I'm going to say, well, I'm always surprised that I'm so wrong on this, but because old A-U-L-D,
Yep.
I'm going to say a couple of centuries.
Just give me a number.
Okay, like the 1800s.
Are the 1800s like the actual 1800s or the 1700s?
I mean the 1800s. Like,
1788.
oh, wow.
And it was written by Robert
I could have
Burns.
gotten that right if I would have just guessed the other way.
You should have.
Oh, well.
He was a poet, okay?
We
So
know Burns.
Robert Burns.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
no.
we know him pretty well. We call him Bobby Burns.
Right.
We call him Triple B.
Was he friends of like a Byron, Keats, or Shelley, those guys?
Were they around in 1788?
I don't know. I think they were like maybe 1800s. I'm not sure.
I have to check my thesaurus
Okay.
when we're done here. It's the lyrics actually come from an old Scottish poem. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's what's bizarre. This song has been around for almost 250 years.
Right.
We didn't even start singing it in the United States until 1965.
What?
And the best part
That
about
is
it is
so wrong. How can we know it so well?
we Americans didn't even introduce it to America. It was brought to us by Guy Lombardo, the band leader for the Royal Canadians.
I feel like I was born with this song, no?
You feel like it, but it's wrong.
Oh, wow.
He had an interview with Life magazine, and he said, Auld Lang Syne, again, I don't even know how to pronounce it, is our theme song and was long before anyone ever heard us on the radio. It started in Western Ontario to people's delight, and we just started playing it, and we thought we would play our same set when we first came to America.
So I wonder if they played it like at the end of their set.
I mean, I think it's just really weird that I would have told you that it has been a part of
Right.
American culture for 100 years.
Like when we escaped England, we brought it.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. And then to hear that it's actually infinitely older than what I thought it would be, but that you barely are older than the song itself.
Barely.
Barely. Emphasis
On barely.
on barely.
Yeah.
I was floored because I think a lot of people know the newer version, right? The translated version, but we all know like the first 4 stanzas.
Right.
If you asked us to get into like the chorus or the second stanzas, we'd be like,
We'd
there's
be lost,
no
for
shot.
Sure. It would be all good. Da, 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 yeah, yeah.
So if you had to guess what you thought like the meaning of this song was, what would you say the meaning of Auld Lang Syne is?
Okay, so I think it has something to do, this is what it feels like, and because we always sing it on New Year's, so I attribute that to it as well. I'm going to say like remembering old friends, like forgotten friendships, like keeping in mind that even though you're starting a new year, you know, that there are these old, whatever, Lang Synes, whatever that means, that we should keep top of mind, if you will.
Deborah, spot on.
Oh my gosh.
Spot on. Auld Lang Syne is about old friends who have parted and meet again. To celebrate their long friendship, they share a drink together and reminisce of memories from long ago. The basic message is that we should not forget our old friends and should celebrate a reunion with them.
Well, we did a great job.
I think we did a great job. Deb, let's give the people what they want. And a 3, and a 2, and a Debbie sing the song. Should all acquaintance be forgot and never brought
Good
to
job, Kev.
mind? Deb, it's your turn. Deb, go. And yep. Debbie sing. Yep.
And days of Auld Lang Syne.
Let's start the podcast.
Lord.
Welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. One is a Harvard Business School alum. The other is her son, discussing business, pop culture, family, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Deb and Kev.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. Across from me is the woman who still cries at a white Christmas. It's my mom, Deb.
I'm Deb, and I do.
And that makes me the kid who wants an official Red Ryder Carbine Action 200 shot range model air rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out.
I'm her son, Kev, and this is our podcast. On today's show, as we tie up the loose ends of 2021 and embark into the new year of 2022, Deb will talk to us about New Year's resolutions for entrepreneurs and small businesses. And we are back from the holiday with 3 more questions in Dear Debbie. And like a couple of free climbers, we'll rappel this whole thing up by telling you what's for dinner and what we are thankful for. But first, Deb, how was your Christmas?
Well, Christmas was great. I want to say it was a lovely day. I do want to say, though, that, you know, our anticipation is different because, you know, it was like, is Dad going to feel well enough to get up?
Yep.
Is Dad going to feel well enough to participate?
It was a subjective Christmas, meaning what would normally have probably been a not exceptional Christmas turned out to be an exquisite
And
Christmas.
exquisite Christmas. So one thing that I would say, I'm learning things along the way about somebody with an illness like this. And one of the things, some people have lived with this for years and years and years. Some people will live this with something like this for a short period of time. But I do want to say the quicker you give up on having like normal expectations and say, whatever happens today is going to be great. As long as this person that I love that isn't feeling well is out of pain, is clean, is safe, is comfortable, and is enjoying life as much as possible by the definition every moment of what they want. Because for Dad, it could have been the best part of the day was that he slept, right? I mean,
Sure.
so I have to be okay with that, right? And I think that you and I did a really good job of beforehand discussing 1,000 different options that could have played out. And we were just good. We were good with whatever played out. But I do want to say what played out was pretty close to a normal Christmas for us.
As we talked about on Thursday, we were only doing stocking stuffers. And that led to me spending a lot of time at TJ Maxx and Sam's Club and World Market. And probably for another podcast, the threshold of a line that people are willing to endure at TJ Maxx to become a Maxxinista is nuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. I told
with
you
you.
I waited in line for 15 minutes. And you're like, oh, that's not that bad. But we'll put a pin in that one. So we only did stocking stuffers. And I will say this. Every single one of us, even if Dad wasn't sick and going through what he's going through, all of us said, there is nothing we need. There is nothing we want.
Right.
So let's just let the season be the season. And of course, the season is wrapped up in providing gifts for one another. So we still wanted to do that, but it wanted to be more fun.
Right.
And I would say we typically, as we open gifts individually. And it takes us a good amount of time.
Right. Because we pay attention to the gift,
Yep.
which means whoever gave the gift and the person who's opening the gift gets our attention.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
When you're opening nothing but stocking stuffers, you can do a communal open.
Right.
And the communal open is fun because there's nothing that you're like waiting to see the person's response to.
There's not that big thing.
I'm not waiting for Deb to jump out of her chair and run and give me a hug and say I'm the greatest son in the world when I give her pasta sauce.
Or these are the best Mike and Ikes I've ever had, right?
Exactly. Or when we give Dad a new set of readers, I don't expect him to go full-blown Charlie and the Chocolate Factory grandpa and pop out of bed and start dancing with us, right?
So I do want to say if Dad would have completely understood how hard it was to find readers in the right prescription, it was impossible. And he had just gotten his eyes checked.
Yeah.
So we knew his old readers were bad, but it was a pain. A lot of time was spent on that, I'm telling you.
But we have the seasons and the holidays down to such a science that there is very little that we are not in control of. But that being said, I have a gripe. It is an old man gripe, and I know that I'm going to be able to get you to gripe with me.
Okay, go. I love a good gripe.
Prior to Christmas Day.
Yeah. Are
You
we
and
talking
I,
Christmas Eve?
prior to Christmas Day,
Okay.
you and I sat and watched our weather app with anticipation of the snow that was going to fall in Reno, Nevada on Christmas Day. Couldn't even tell you the last time it snowed on Christmas Day. Don't know if it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or before I was born. All I know is it's maybe happened once. Maybe.
So
it snowed around Christmas Day, but
not,
I don't remember ever being on Christmas Day.
And we've had the snow on the ground on Christmas Day, but not snowing. Now, here's the thing. You and I went out Tuesday night to run to do some shopping. Was it Tuesday night or Wednesday night? Wednesday night. Deader than a doornail all over town.
Yep.
And everyone said that everywhere we went, they said, oh my gosh, I think because of the storm, people are done. And people have left town, meaning, you have to cross a huge mountain pass to get out of here, right? And so people are like gone. And then, town felt kind of quiet on the days leading up to Christmas. It wasn't hectic and crazy. Everybody was talking about the storm that was going to come Christmas Eve. It was going to start Christmas Eve, and it was going to storm through today, Sunday. That was the weather report. I was never so excited to be hunkered down.
I was jacked up to wake up. I'm 37 years old, excited to wake up to a snow-filled house open the curtains, make some coffee, play the music, and just watch the snow fall. Anybody want to guess how it turned out waking up and seeing all the snow or lack thereof?
Well,
nothing happened.
Here's the worst part.
Nothing happened. I was given snow coal from Weather Santa. We didn't get anything throughout the day.
And here's the worst part of it. We kept looking at different weather apps.
Yep.
I mean, at least I did. Switching. Our snow would come from the west. It was apparently, but this could have been a lie too, snowing like crazy in Truckee, California.
100% it said it was snowing.
For like 36 hours.
100% it said it was snowing. You could look at the app at any given time and it said at 100% it is snowing, except literally in our neighborhood. I texted friends, snowing in Sparks. I texted friend, snowing in the Northwest. It snowed everywhere. Every single place got to experience their childhood wonder but us. But there's more.
But it said it was snowing. On the app, it said it was snowing all the time.
The
it said
second
100%.
the sun went down and there was nothing else to see, what happened?
It snowed.
How hard?
Like crazy.
Like crazy.
But you had, it's the kind of snow where you either had to walk outside, literally walk outside to see it, or you had to hope that the street lamp above you was close enough so that you could see, the snow coming in the street lamp. It was crazy. It came down, and you know what? It was supposed to snow until something like 4 o'clock this morning.
Yep.
And it stopped like at 11 o'clock last night.
I just don't understand technology in that. Listen, I'm absolutely okay if it doesn't snow when it says it's supposed to snow. But when you are like, and I think we can all agree that apps and weather apps are as precise as they've ever been. When you are going to tell me that it's 100% snowing, which means, as we've defined on this podcast before, it's not going to snow in, when it says 40% chance of snow, there's not a 40% chance of snow. It means it's going to snow in 40% of your area.
Right.
So when you say 100%, that means it's snowing everywhere in Reno.
And I have
all
an
at once.
Expectation that it's everywhere. And for 36 hours, it said it was snowing. I mean, if you pulled it up, it said there was snow coming down on the app. It is currently snowing.
Yep.
I would look outside, nothing.
Nothing. And then the second the sun goes down, the second the thing that would allow you to enjoy the snow is no longer present, here it comes. I mean, I would say we probably got 4 or 5 inches of fresh powder.
And I mean, it was at the end of Christmas Day.
It's over.
I mean, it's over.
Christmas is over.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
I'm on the cusp of hating Christmas because it's over.
On White Christmas, I'm sure it was Christmas Eve that when they opened those big doors, it started snowing. Guess what? For all the little children to wake up to snow the next morning. Ugh.
I'll tell you this. I know we sound ungrateful, but we are, because we were promised something that was delivered technically on the day that it was supposed to be delivered, but well past the time we could have enjoyed it. But that catapults me into the next conversation, which is we watched Deb's favorite movie with Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye and Rosemary Clooney and Vera Ellen, A White Christmas.
A White Christmas.
You, honestly, for the first time since I've watched this with you, were sobbing.
No, I sob in the very beginning.
Sobbing.
And I sob in the very end. Look, my eyes are welling up just being able to talk about it.
My favorite actor is the colonel, whoever, or the general, whoever plays the general.
Dean somebody.
That's my favorite guy.
I love him.
Of
I adore
everybody,
him.
he's my absolute favorite guy. But I need everybody to understand this. This movie is as old as Deb. It's 40 years old. She has probably watched it over 100 times.
Do I know
in
every
her
song,
life.
every word, every
all
everything.
of it?
Yeah.
She does to me what I do to her with other movies. Hey, watch this. Hey, watch this. Hey, watch this. The end, which is emotional because it's everybody doing right by somebody that they all love and adore. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. Deb.
Are there people that haven't seen it?
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, really?
Deb is sobbing.
Sobbing.
Like, not like, oh, that's, I mean, like sobbing. And I look over at her, I'm like, are you okay?
But here's the thing. I want to say this. I'm the kind of crier that if you give me a little something to cry about, then I cry for all the children of the world.
And
I cry for everything that is possibly going on.
But tell me why you cried, because I think this was a really sweet moment.
So at the beginning of the show is they're like overseas, World War II, and it's Christmas.
Yep.
And Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby are entertaining the troops as troops.
Yep.
They are troops. And their general, which is one of the main characters, is being sent off to somewhere else. He's not going to be their general. But they sing this song, "We'll follow the old man wherever I don't know, wherever he may go, whatever." Yep. And they sing it through the first time through like bombs dropping on them. So there's a whispering effect and then a louder effect. I am telling you, "We'll follow the old man." The minute that starts, I well up and it is hard to keep it in.
Yep.
Now I hold it together for that part. But when that same part comes at the end, when he's surprised, don't want to ruin it.
Spoiler alert.
But when the general has his surprise, I lose it. And I know, listen, I know everything. I go, oh, the guy's going to pick up his little girl there. I mean, I just like all of it. Like, oh my God, Rosemary Clooney's going to give Bing Crosby his gift behind the tree. Like, look at me. I am
It's unbelievable. But tell me why, because this was the sweet moment. Tell me why it made you emotional.
Okay, it has been around since I've been around.
Yeah, no, I think it's as old as you.
I think it was the year after I was born. So literally I've grown up my whole life watching it. And I just said, like, it's what I always wanted to be. It's what I wanted my life to be.
And I said, but you can't sing or dance and you never wanted to be in the movies. Clearly I missed what she was trying to give to me in that moment. It was the familial thing. It was the friendship thing. I mean, listen, it paints an amazing picture of what the 1950s was thought to be. I mean, it wasn't at all what the White Christmas made it to be, but I get like the aesthetic, the desire, all of the communal things that go with that, and this totally uplifting spirit. But when you said that, it's all the things I wanted to be, and I was like, but you can't sing or dance, and you never wanted to be an actress.
It's true. That's true. I will say it is, like things that go wrong don't go terribly wrong, right? There's no big suspense in anything, but it's a happy ending. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's what it is.
Yes.
Also, I want to say this. The entertainment value of it's very good. The dancing is incredible.
Dancing's impeccable.
The dancing is incredible. One of the things I kept saying to Kevin is, look at her legs. Yeah. Look at her legs.
Vera Ellen's legs.
Oh my God, she's an incredible dancer. And the clothes were amazing for the time. Men and women, they were amazing clothes.
Here are the parts of the movie that probably don't resonate with the contemporary audience. Bing Crosby is like in the movie and in real life 53 years old.
Right. But he looks good.
Does he?
I don't know.
I don't think he really does. His love interest, Rosemary Clooney, 26.
Yeah, that's like a big difference.
Probably a little creepier than expected. They also talk about missing menstrual shows.
M-I-N-S.
Yeah, no, not like menstrual, like women's menstrual cycle. Minstrel.
Yeah, minstrel shows.
Which those are the old blackface shows.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Is that what? I don't think that's what they're
You don't see it. They don't talk about it. It's a lead into a song.
They're talking about minstrels. I mean, if you look up minstrels, like in England, they were people that went around and entertained like villages and stuff. Minstrels.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know. I think you got that wrong.
I don't think I got that wrong.
I'm sure you did. Look up minstrel troupe, like TROUPE.
Gotta be really careful with how I Google things right now. Could take a weird turn.
MINSTRAL troupe, TROUPE.
No. Minstrel shows, definitely. Also called minstrelises, was an American form of racist entertainment developed in the early 19th century.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
They sing about missing those shows.
Yeah.
And again, nobody's in blackface and there's nothing remotely racist about a White Christmas. But those are the two things that I think might be troublesome in 2021.
What about the way they talk about women? Like,
essentially what Danny Kaye is trying to do is get Bing Crosby to slow down and find a wife. And he's just being like, they're there for the picking. Just choose somebody. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Just choose somebody in show business, one of these little hot thotties that you can become a husband to, and then just take her and make her your betrothed.
And everybody except the two female leads are treated like dumb blondes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the characters they play are dumb blondes. Not the two main characters, but everybody else surrounding Bing and Danny are. Those would be the only things that I might say might make an audience perk their ears up. But other than that, other than referencing something that could be racist, and other than being exceptionally old and dating somebody half his age. And yes, probably Bing looks good, but also, in what world does somebody who's not Bing Crosby get somebody like Rosemary Clooney at her apex?
Yeah, for sure. You know, here's the thing about the show. This is the stuff I can remember, and this is still childhood thoughts that stay with me. Like, I loved it that in the story, like that the sisters kept trying to take care of each other, right? I mean, like that. And I was an only child, so I think that was a thing. But here was the thing that I considered the real miracle, not the snow. Like the snow was like, oh, it snowed. But when all of the troops showed up at the Vermont Lodge,
spoiler alert,
I can remember thinking like, those must be the finest people in the world to have changed their Christmas plans to do that for somebody, the finest people in the world.
The show is about selflessness during the holiday season. The show is about what can I do in my life that allows the people around me to succeed. And whether it's them meeting the Hayes sisters or them getting Ed Harrison to come on the show, or them putting on the show itself. It's all these guys who have a position of power are trying to do right by everybody around them and give them a leg up when nobody else would.
Yeah.
That's the crux of the show.
And it is just, I guess it's that thing of everybody coming together, literally everybody coming together, no matter what their own agendas were.
Yep.
That is so heartwarming. And then I love the general. I just love him.
The general's the best part, as far as I'm concerned.
He's funny.
Yep.
He's self-deprecating. He's very good looking. And like he feels like he's the smart guy out of all of them, right? You know, I mean, like he's terrific. Yeah.
Before we go to Deb's business segment, let's talk about the food. I maybe overcooked the strata just a little bit. I kept looking at it in the oven, and the problem is the oven light did not make it look as golden brown as I thought. It made it look golden, made it look a little lighter. When I took it out, it was a little more brown than I had anticipated. Was it still good? Absolutely.
It was
You
delicious.
said you want to add more sausage to it next year, which I think is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of snacks.
We did.
You made a phenomenal French onion dip. Oh my God. It was velvety, silky smooth, and tasted like onions. It was delicious.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it, honey.
And then you cooked the steaks, pan-seared the steaks, finished them off in the oven. I made the scalloped potatoes, and then you made this pea with a riced cauliflower dish, which was like super duper creamy and delicious.
So I had read, it was this little article, and it was talking about like 1950s foods, like, comfort foods, like convert them to today's foods.
Oh.
So a dish that I used to have, and in fact, you could later buy it like in the frozen food section of the vegetables. It was peas in like a white cream sauce. Now, the white cream sauce was only, I don't know, heavy whipping cream or heavy half and half or something like that, and butter and a little flour and then salt and pepper. That was it. But I mean, how is that not good, right?
Delicious.
But they're not anywhere anymore, but they were taking a version of that. They loaded it with riced cauliflower and really cooked the cauliflower down super, super soft.
Yep.
And then added a little, I think I added Havarti to it. And so it was a creamy pea dish, but it had that riced cauliflower kind of as the binder.
Yep.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was fantastic. That might have been my favorite component of the entire meal. You made kind of like a compound butter with garlic and what else?
I added some garlic and Worcestershire to it.
That sauce by itself,
you would have just eaten buckets of it? Yeah.
phenomenal. But you put it on the steak and neither of us could taste it.
I know. It was really weird because not only did I put it, I dumped a ton,
Yeah.
I mean, as a finish on the steak. And then I took the steak real quick with tongs and turned it on either side. So that steak came out of the pan totally coated in that butter in an obscene way. But the flavor didn't translate.
Yeah.
It was super disappointing.
And then I thought I was a little disappointed in the scalloped potatoes. Those scalloped potatoes, the amount of butter and, well, not even butter, cream and seasoning and cheese. I put 2 packages of cheese in there, a shredded parm, a shredded mozzarella. I put heavy whipping cream, half and half. I layer the potatoes with heavy Italian seasoning, the cheeses, then I pour the milk, then potatoes,
Well, and you do
seasoning,
salt and pepper.
cheese.
You do salt and pepper too.
I thought they were just woefully underseasoned.
So here's what ended up happening. Like, I think The top of the top ones
Mm-hmm.
were great.
Well, of course, because they have that little kind of the browned cheese on top.
Right. But I think you also added extra seasoning to the top just because it was the top. And then when you got down like half an inch, the rest of them, I mean, and I knew there was seasoning on it. You could see it. There was
Ton of
seasoning on it.
Yeah.
But it was like nothing.
Nothing.
You wanted to dump salt on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we say every year that when we think we put too much,
Yeah.
it ends up being just right. So you got to go heavy on the seasoning with the potatoes.
And the other thing about that dish is you can cook that dish for 2 hours and still not overcook it. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I will say, though, you do a cool thing, though, because it's in a square casserole pan. And like the next day or the day after, you'll take it and you'll cut it out because it slices out perfectly. And then you'll take like a little butter and fry it on both sides.
Delicious.
It'll be delicious then for sure.
And you made a Bailey's cheesecake.
Yeah. So here's the thing, the reason we eat so much cheesecake is because it's gluten-free.
True.
Okay. And we went to eat it. Now I made a Bailey's caramel sauce. I even sent some pictures of this cheesecake to my friend. Like it looked like it was going to be great.
It came out. It was the best looking cheesecake you've ever made. Visually, the best looking cheesecake.
And I added so much more Bailey's than they said to.
Yeah.
Now, as we're tasting it, here's the one thing. If you bring food to our house, we're honest, and we never hate anything. I mean, all the stuff that we've criticized, we ate. We ate it all.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. We are our harshest critics.
Right.
All of you probably would have sat down and ate it and been like, I don't understand what food you're talking about. This all tastes good, but we are our harshest critics.
So we're eating it, and I say to Kevin initially, I don't know if I like the texture of the cheesecake. Sorry, and I said it feels a little. And did you say stodgy?
I said it's a little dense.
A little dense, but not dense creamy. It was a little weird.
No, I feel honestly, you know what it felt like? When cream cheese has been frozen and it starts to separate, it's like you didn't get a full separation, but it was about to start separating.
And yet that wasn't the case.
No.
The batter was beautiful when it went in. And then it could have been the alcohol content. There was a lot of alcohol.
Here's the thing. I think you put enough alcohol content in there where it maybe messed with the chemistry a little bit, because you could barely taste the Baileys and you put a lot of Baileys in there. But boy, oh boy, could you get that alcohol flavor.
So I said to Kevin, the taste. And he went, yeah, the taste. Like no Baileys there. Yeah. I mean, like
you could taste the fresh whipped cream, which was delicious.
Which was
and you could taste the caramel sauce, which was delicious.
Yep.
But the cheesecake was nothing more than a vessel.
It was nothing more than a vessel to eat the caramel sauce and the whipped cream. So we won't be eating all of that.
No, I'll probably have another slice just to see what it's all about tonight. And then I will just say to myself, not worth the calories.
Truly not worth the calories. But hey, that makes us good for the rest of the week. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. And Lord knows, stocking stuffers is pretty much heavy food.
Yeah.
Not healthy food.
Right.
Lots of sugar.
Yeah.
So
lots of chips.
Lots of chips. Shout out Kehoe's Chips, Keough.
So these
straight out of Dublin.
So these new potato chips I found at Costco.
Yep.
The first time we bought them, it was a giant bag, and it was called roasted turkey and stuffing.
It was called Thanksgiving something.
Something like a flavor, and I was like, that's either going to be awful or delicious. Let's try it. They didn't taste anything like.
They tasted like if you were to describe the flavor of Thanksgiving to somebody, not a dish, the essence of Thanksgiving. They tasted like the holiday would taste if you could physically lick Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but it really didn't taste like roasted turkey and stuffing. But they were delicious nonetheless.
Delicious.
They didn't last in this house very long. And then I actually ran into you at World Market.
Yep.
And
I bought 4 different flavors.
He bought 4 different flavors. I was just going to pick up 4 different flavors for him. And then you said, I just thought these looked good. And then they ended up in my bag. Thank you very much. But they're Keoughs.
There's either a U or there's not, but it's Keo.
Yeah.
Maybe a U, maybe not. GHS.
These chips are amazing.
Phenomenal.
People.
Some of the best chips I've ever had.
Some of the best chips I've ever had for sure.
So that was our Christmas.
Yeah. It was
disappointed in the snow.
Yeah.
Quasi disappointed in the food. Very happy with the day itself because Dad was able to participate in everything and came and sat and ate an entire dinner as well. So if we weren't going through what we were going through, we wouldn't have even noticed a difference.
Yep, not at all. The good thing about this new treatment is it seems to be alleviating any pain.
Yep.
The bad thing, I mean, it's like good and bad always, is like to say fatigue doesn't even begin to describe. He just wants to be in bed sleeping.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we should just say, and you will have extreme drowsiness.
And there's a lot of people being like, well, I haven't been diagnosed with cancer, but all I want to do is be in bed sleeping.
Yeah. So and it's funny because I was talking to Haley on the phone today, and which is another funny thing that we should talk about in a minute. But I said, you know how sometimes and maybe this is because I'm older, but sometimes like you feel like you don't have to go to the bathroom. Then you suddenly stand up, you go, I've got to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so you go like, I got to go to the bathroom, and you've got to go. Okay. Dad is like that with being tired. Dad is sitting there enjoying everything, and he might say, oh, this is great. Hey, could I get another cup of coffee? I got to go lay down. and he's gone, so it can happen very, very fast.
Oh, yeah, big time. There are 5 days until the new year, January 1st, where we roll into 2022, not the sequel of 2020, not 2022, just 2022. And with 1 week left, what should businesses be focused on as it relates to heading into the new year?
So I have just a few little ideas. Some of them people are going to say to me, this feels like the same old, same old. And sadly, some of it is the same old, same old. But one of the things that I think, and this is, I can give a couple examples. This Omicron that is back is just, it is going fast. You're hearing about people everywhere catching it. And there was an article that I read. In fact, we both tested ourselves just to be sure.
We tested ourselves this week because I thought, well, it seems to be the cool thing that everybody's doing. And I don't know that I want Omicron, but I want to be able to test for Omicron like all the people in the big cities. And I took the test and I failed.
I failed too.
Failed in that it was
I don't have it.
Negative.
Yeah. So we both took the test. But I'd read about a restaurateur in New York who, was gearing up for the holidays. And the Omicron thing had been announced. And then, of course, it hit New York. And so she had all of her staff take it. Nobody was sick. Nobody had any symptoms at all.
Yep.
And like half of her staff tested positive, completely asymptomatic. And so, it was like, what do I do? And she made the decision to just shut it down until New Year's. And the reason she made the decision, and I think for her financially, obviously it's going to hurt. For the people working for her, obviously it's going to hurt. But it's like, you got to do it those 10 days. And these people are all asymptomatic. You have to assume some more are going to get it because they've been with the others, right? Yeah. You have to then test negative for a couple of tests. It was just going to go on and on.
I've heard about this new variant. I've had friends from California down to Louisiana who the doctors have said, you're probably going to test positive way longer with this variant than we would have ever expected. It doesn't mean you're contagious, but for whatever reason, it's still showing up as a positive test. I had a friend in Louisiana after the 11th day still test positive, which is unheard of. 11 days since diagnosis, which means he had it for at least probably 4 or 5 days before that.
Well, our friend Eric, when COVID came around the first time, our friend Eric from Mexico, he isolated at home. And then, he, after 10 days, he got pretty sick, felt well. And then his rule at his company was you have to test negative before you can go back to work. He tested positive for 8 weeks.
That's insane.
It was crazy. So anyways, what she decided is that what they all needed more than anything during the holidays was certainty. And so she just said, going to shut it down. Sorry. Open back up New Year's. But then people could make their holiday plans and do what they needed to do. And the other thing that she said was, I just couldn't bear, I could see regulars in here, older couples and, older folks in here enjoying us and thinking like, gosh, we could be a spreading event. So I think she did the right thing. I use that as an example to say, we all need to have policies in place. We all need to have plans in place, but then we have to be able to punt and we have to be able to adapt and we have to be able to switch. And I just think right now, COVID is our thing that we can use for the example, but it could be anything. It can be a national or a global financial crisis. It can be that something, that there's some kind of catastrophe. Look what just happened in Kentucky. Businesses in that town are going to be affected for years to come, the economy of that town. So I just think We showed during 2020 how adaptable we were, how much we could do, how we could change and pivot and change and pivot. And I'm not saying that it's not exhausting. And I wish that COVID weren't the example and that we weren't having to still deal with it on year 3. Is it year 3 we're going into?
We are heading into so 2020, 2021, 2022.
Yeah, we're heading into year 3. I wish that weren't the example. But what I would say is, number 1, have plans, have goals, and then plan to change them and be ready to do it quicker, sooner than later.
I would also say that it's kind of, this is the thing that people would probably like roll their eyes at or think isn't fun. You should kind of have 2 game plans going right now, which is the game plan of the world being normal as we remember it and business being conducted as normal, and the world being what it is today. Because eventually what the world is today will give way to the way we conducted business in 2019. It'll be a little different, but it'll be more similar than it is right now. Those 2 can run parallel to one another, with you shading more towards we're operating with plan B as opposed to plan A. But eventually when it morphs again into whatever new variant and it's not nearly as bad and maybe it's even more contagious, but like there's no symptoms whatsoever, and this thing eventually peters out and travels more and people are more comfortable coming into work and we're not wearing masks, well, then we're back to normal. And you need to be well equipped to switch back to normal. And I know a lot of people would say, well, Kevin, it's normal. We're comfortable with that. You're comfortable with the thought. Are you comfortable with the execution of it? If you're not comfortable with the execution of it, then you're going to maybe lose a week or 2 weeks or a month transitioning back into what you knew, which means you might be losing business, because if you're operating at like 75% capacity in whatever your business is, but you're not seeing a change in COVID and stacking up whatever industry you're in, making sure that more people when the time for green is go and you're now at 100% capacity, you're losing money. So you should have these strategies kind of simultaneously happening where you're operating plan B, fully acknowledging that plan A will eventually take over so that you can do that adjustment in the blink of an eye without skipping a beat.
I agree. And we don't have time to sit in the pity puddle of it all. I mean, there just isn't time for that. A couple of other things I want to say. I think one of the things, and I think this happened a little bit more with COVID, I think we've seen it decline, but I would like to see it really surge back as well, especially for small businesses. If small businesses don't support one another, I think we should all support small business. Let that be said.
Agreed.
But I also think small businesses can support one another. And an example of that is you have a client, I have a client, and they are so good about touting their local businesses within their own business social media. And I think it's a warm fuzzy. It makes everybody feel good that they're doing that. You know, it's hard. Reno, Nevada is a little bit different, but there's this hotel I stay at if I stay in New York City, and I can walk by a Starbucks and I can walk by a couple coffee chains. But if I go to the end of the block, it's this beautiful little privately owned, one shop coffee shop. And that's where I go and buy my coffee. It's gorgeous inside. The service is different. Have I spent plenty of money at Starbucks? I have. Will I spend money at Starbucks again? I will. But try to be mindful in supporting small businesses because we want to keep them around. We don't want the whole world to be box stores. And so I think that's important as consumers, and as important as small businesses support other small businesses. And then one of the last things, 2 things that I want to talk about is I think that I really want to say this because I still feel pressure of everything that's going on in the world. I mean, we're still kind of in political upheavals to some degree. It's like half of the United States is either happy or sad at any given point, right? That stuff affects us. So I really think people should take time to rest. And when I say rest, sometimes that is vacation, but I really say put the component of rest into it.
Well, in your situation, it's maybe don't watch the news for a week.
Right.
Maybe it's turn, not go to CNN.com, not go to MSNBC, not go to Fox. Just let your brain take a break from the thing it can in no way control. Because when you see something politically, whatever side of the aisle you fall on, we now live in such an easily triggered society that you are bringing yourself to the slaughter, fully knowing that you can't stop yourself from emotionally responding to it. So take a big step back. Be your own advocate for your own well-being, and don't put yourself front and center in a situation where you are going to have a negative emotional response to something. Go read a book. Go watch YouTube videos. Go do anything other than the thing that you know doesn't necessarily bring you joy in that moment.
So that you're not depleted for your business.
Yep.
I mean, one of the things that I had said to Dad Christmas Eve was he if he has a little bit of energy, wants to get up and run around. And I said, could we bottle that? Could we save it for dinner? So he could be up and with us during dinner. And it is kind of like that. Don't deplete yourself, because what we're talking here about is the health of your business. And then the other thing, and these things are both as a result of COVID, but I think we've taken a good look at them, is, do you need office space? Number one. And I think the answer for lots of businesses is I don't. I mean, I actually don't need it. Some businesses do, but some don't. And if you don't, stop and think about it and downsize it or get rid of it, because it will save you a bucket of money. It's
Sure.
huge. It's just every business should be assessing whether they need physical space. And listen, in some cases they genuinely do, and so they should have it.
Deb used to romance an office that is a half a mile from us,
Yep.
in this cute brick building
Yep.
on the second floor next to a coffee shop. She would romanticize it.
Oh
She
my
would think about
gosh,
having her
yeah.
meetings there and having an employee working with her and hopping down and taking meetings in the coffee shop. She romanticized it for years.
Yeah.
Until she realized that's just going to be a waste of money. I don't need to conduct my business in a physical location, because I can do it over the phone. I can do it on Zoom. And if I need to do it physically in front of somebody, I'm going to go to their office, or we're going to go to a coffee shop. In no way do I need to spend $50,000 a year on rent.
I agree. I 100% agree. And listen, there are shops that we need to walk into.
Yep.
There are places we have to go to get things, and there are places that we have to go to actually conduct business. That's all completely legitimate. But then in a lot of cases, there's not. Save your business some money. And then the last thing, I thought some of the most creative marketing we ever saw was during the year 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I used to talk about the car ads were just kind. They weren't like where it normally feels like they're kind of shouting at you.
Yep.
They were just kind. And I would say, once again, reevaluate your marketing, be super creative, do something different, make me want to look at it. I mean, it's still, kindness does not get old.
No.
And I'm not saying that just because I watched White Christmas yesterday. I mean, kindness is cool all the time. And so take your marketing, talk about the good things your business does, talk about the good people in your business, talk about the good community you live in, and make that your selling point.
Personalize it. Personalize it, personalize it, personalize it. I have been banging that drum since way before 2020 hit and marketing changed. People want to know who they're doing business with before they do business with you. Any way that you can put your face or your staff's face or family in anything you do is one step towards somebody knowing you in a way that you have perfectly molded for them, so that they can feel one step closer to doing business with you. Personal, personal, personal.
I agree. So I just think, keep some of these things in mind as best as you can. I'm going to say accommodate them, put them into your business plan, think about it for the new year. I don't know, 2022, I'm not into numerology or anything, but I think 20 and 22 are master numbers.
Are they? I thought master numbers only went up to 13.
Oh, no. I think, Google it. 20 and 22 are master numbers for sure. So I'm just going to go with the numerology, folks, and say this is going to be a good year, and let's just breathe through it.
Deb, the numerologist, says 2022 is going to be looking good for no reason other than she thinks so.
Yeah, I mean, we have, usually every year in your Christmas card. By the way, I was the only one that gave Christmas cards.
Oh,
this
yeah,
year.
completely blacked out on giving Christmas cards.
And I bought nice ones, like expensive
They were
ones.
very nice.
Yes.
They were not dollar
They were
store
not dollar store
cards at all.
But usually I say something like 2022 is going to be great. And I really refrained from saying it because I've said it so much, I can't jinx it now. Yeah. So, yeah.
We'll take it. We'll just take anything not being bad, right?
Exactly.
That's the new normal. Was it bad? Nope. Then it was great. 3 questions for Dear Debbie, 2 professional, 1 kind of fun. And I think this
Okay.
one's going to be very fun,
Okay.
depending on people who have listened to this podcast and think they already know what we're going to say.
Okay.
Dear Debbie, I was hired to work on a short-term project for a company that had hired me previously. It seemed like everything turned out pretty well. I was asked for honest feedback about the project, and I gave it. That included pointing out things that I thought the company could do better to ensure positive results for the particular effort underway. They thanked me, but I never heard from them again. I have followed up to see if everything turned out well. Crickets. It's too soon to expect my check, so I'm not worried about that so much, but it's weird for a client to disappear so abruptly. Is there anything else I can do?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's tough. I mean, I feel like I give bad news a lot to people. And I think that if, people have said to me, what is my talent? What is my gift?
Your talent?
Yeah. I think my gift
She's a talker.
I am a talker, but I think that my gift is I can deliver pretty bad news and not have it just seem so terrible. I mean, I'm pretty good at that.
So are you insinuating that you thought this person was overly honest?
I think when you lead, like if I were telling that story about myself, I probably wouldn't have led with, and I told them what I really thought. I probably wouldn't have led with those kind of words. Also, too, I know that once I meet, which is why I insist on meeting all clients, I know when people really want to hear the truth and then when people aren't quite ready to hear the truth.
Oh, like reading the actual situation and being like,
Yeah.
you're saying you want,
Yeah.
you saying you want truthfulness, but everything about you says no way.
And I will say that I've never had a client completely go away I've never had that happen. But I can remember one firm I worked with where it was pretty brutal because they were doing things that just were going to get them in legal trouble.
Yeah.
And you can't mince words with that. You just have to say it, which I did.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. It was during a board meeting. It was brutal. But I also gave them the fix, and I was really positive and optimistic about the fix and said, it doesn't have to be the end of the world, right? I mean, let's look at a couple of different scenarios, which I laid out for them. The fix they picked was pretty hard, but they did it, and they're, I guess, alive and well today. But that stuff is, when you're invited into a company to do those kinds of assessments, it is really hard to know, number one, do they have an opinion or not? Are they bewildered? Do they really want help? Or are they looking for you to affirm something they think they already know?
I'm going to say this too, because I had a client who I worked with pretty much every single day. They called, I answered. They emailed, I responded. I mean, it was point of contact every single day minus Sundays. Okay. It was overkill for what they were paying for me.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, we're about to go live with the thing that we've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get a hold of the client. They've paid me. So it's not like they're withholding payment for anything. They've paid me. The check has cleared. Can't get them on the phone. Can't get them hold of them on email. Silent, 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 silent. To the point where I'm like, I don't even know that we are working together anymore. Every phone call has gone unanswered. Every email there's been no response to it. They had been posting a lot of the content that I was creating for them, but they were tinkering with it just enough to make it feel like it was their own, which I don't care because, again, you paid for it. But there was no more communication at any point, and there was nothing that could have been triggering. There was nothing that through correspondence would have been like an issue. It was the most benign stuff all the time. And sometimes people who own businesses, they just leave. I mean, sometimes whether you think it's because you were too truthful or because you thought maybe you said something out of turn, sometimes if you're just, working with somebody as a consultant, they just move on from you. They don't think about you. Whatever they needed you for, they're over and done with. And it's too hard for them to be able to say, hey, we're good. We're moving on. We'll use you in the future, even if they don't think that they will. It's just easy for them to continue on with their life.
So there is, I do think, a thing that happens in business, and I don't think it's any more acceptable than when it happens in a personal life. But somebody ghosting somebody when the relationship is not yet done, meaning you need to say, if somebody isn't going to hire me or not use me again, they need to say it. If I think I'm coming in there next month.
Well, especially because it's a business. It's an exchange of services for goods. You get to look at me and say, hey, I just don't want to work with you anymore. for no other reason than I don't like the sweater you wore 3 days ago.
I literally say that to people. When people say, hey, do you have a big contract? I go, nope, here's how it works.
Yep.
You pay me a month in advance. I always agree to finish the work. And if you don't want to work with me after that, if you don't like me, if you don't, just all you have to do is call me, text me, email me and say, hey, I don't want to continue, and we're done.
Yep.
And I mean, I've honestly, like, that has always worked so beautifully for me. But I don't get it when people, I mean, partly you would love the feedback because if you did something, you would want to know, knowingly or unknowingly.
Totally.
You would want to know. The other part of it is, I mean, if they find somebody they just jive with better, good for them. I mean, right? Like, we're not meant to be married
Like
forever.
you mostly know, especially if you own your own business or if you've worked with enough people, you can read the tea leaves for a lot of reasons why nobody's doing business with you again, whether it's they don't have the finances to do it or they just don't like the way you work with them. There are 1,000 reasons, and you just trust your gut in those moments. When something like this happens, sure, it's easy to point to the last thing that you did, but it could just be as simple as they just moved on and didn't think anything about letting you know that they moved on from you.
I think so too. I mean, I would, he needs to get paid for sure. Yeah. And after that, I think it is like if somebody ghosted me in real life, I'm going to give it a couple whirls. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to do hey, did I do something wrong? Are we okay?
Yep.
But if you don't respond to that, you're dead to me. I'm going to go on.
I agree. Dear Debbie, I lied on my resume to get my new job, and now I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I've been winging it every single day since I started. The money I'm making now is far too good to simply walk away from this job, and I really enjoy what I do, but every day I'm afraid that someone is going to notice that I don't belong here. Should I stay until I figure it out? Should I tell a work colleague? My favorite line, the money I'm making now is far too good to walk away from, and I really enjoy what I do. You're not doing anything.
Well, I mean, maybe they are. Maybe they are doing parts of it. Listen, here's the deal. That job sounded like a good idea.
Yeah.
They updated their resume. They were smart enough to update their resume in a way that landed them the job.
Yep.
They're happy. They're there. Fake it till you make it. Figure it out. Work really hard. For God's sakes, don't tell a colleague.
Never.
I mean, never, ever. Don't breathe this. Take this to your death and figure it out and be a great employee. You're being given a crazy opportunity in a weird situation. Take advantage of it.
It's the two-plan approach.
Yeah.
You need to work at this job, which is clearly paying you a lot of money, which they hired you with the belief that even through all of the hiring process, you were still capable and competent to do this. It's probably not going to hurt if you're simultaneously just keeping your ear to the ground about potential jobs that maybe fall more in line with what you're capable of doing. Don't quit this job. Don't tell a colleague. Maybe work a little harder for that money that they're paying you that you're really not actually doing anything for, to learn the industry or your specific job a little bit better. But also don't think you're safe enough to not, keep a pulse of the industry and other job openings that you might be a little more fit for.
I think that, I just think settle down and go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Quit doubting yourself. Because here's the thing. If it were a good job interview process, I mean, the resume is the only thing that piqued their interest for the rest of the conversation.
Yeah.
You held it together for the rest of the conversation. Mm-hmm. Somehow you were able to do that. Somehow you convinced them that you knew what you were talking about.
I also want to say, I think a lot of people just assume this about themselves, even when they have the skill set to do this.
Exactly.
I have been hired for a number of jobs where I thought to myself, oh, these people have no idea what they're doing. I just managed to make myself look somewhat competent in the 30 minutes that we had together, but had it gone 31, I would have been found to be the imposter. But I think a lot of people have that imposter-like syndrome where you got a job because you're deserving of the job, but your own self-talk lets you assume that you're not supposed to be where you are. But that's okay. Figure it out. You managed to get the job, which is probably the biggest thing. Now you have time to learn it. And if nobody has said anything to you about your work production or lack thereof, then nobody's taken notice that you apparently don't know what you're doing.
When there are people that don't work out in positions, when I work with owners, and especially maybe because often I'll interview people too, and when it doesn't work out, nobody says afterwards, but his resume.
Yeah.
No one says that.
No.
People will say, gosh, but don't you remember the conversation? Don't you remember we talked about this? He or she was so articulate. People will say things like their references raved about them, said I would hire them back in a minute. They'll refer to those kind of things, but nobody goes back to the resume. So this person has done something. Suck it up, take a deep breath, take good care of yourself, and do the work.
The only time I can remember anybody getting caught for lying on their resume was the Russian chef from Below Deck Med who posted a bunch of food on her Instagram and then made the very first charter guests the worst looking nachos I've ever seen in my entire life. Like gross, horrible looking nachos. So then somebody went to her Instagram, pulled pictures, did a Google search of those images and found that those were in fact not her images. They were from another restaurant. And then they immediately let her go. That is the only time in my existence of knowing, and not even knowing them, but of somebody lying so blatantly that other people were like, this resume can't be true.
The thing about lying on resumes, lying about experience that you have, I mean, obviously you should never lie about licensure. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
Or, I mean, if you need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer, you need to be a CPA, don't lie because, I mean, that is big. There's huge legal ramifications for that kind of thing. But if you're talking about like, I've done this kind of project management project and I've known success through it, well, I mean, if you can really hold a conversation, because I think I would have asked you about that, right?
Yep.
I mean, then I think you have a good idea. And guess what? If you don't have the whole idea, sit down and figure it out or find a friend who does and talk to them. But your friend is currently not in your place of employment.
Although you can lie about being a doctor and you can lie about being a lawyer. Just watch Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio as he played Frank Abagnale Jr. And he lied about all that stuff. And he had to take the bar to marry the lawyer's daughter, shout out Amy Adams, and he passed the bar in Louisiana studying for a month. So you can lie about that stuff. It usually catches up to you and the FBI gets involved and you have to pay.
The only reason he didn't go to prison is because the FBI
they used him because he was such a great forger. So if you're willing to commit to a life of crime that is so good, you're so good at being a criminal that the people who are chasing you for your criminal activities want to bring you onto their side, then feel free to lie.
It won't put you in jail.
But if you're not that good at being a criminal and lying, don't do it.
Don't do it.
This is where I don't know where we're going to come down on this one. Okay?
Go.
Dear Debbie, my husband comes from a family of practical jokers. When I first married, we'll call him Vince, I tolerated it. However, after my sister-in-law, who we'll call Vicky, sent a stripper to my office as a birthday surprise, I asked her politely and firmly to stop. All my requests did was provoke her to continue hounding me and to escalate the jokes. Her last, finger quotes, joke was the last straw. Vince and I had planned a dream vacation to Europe. Vicky called our travel...
Vince is the husband.
Yes.
Okay.
Vicky called our travel agent and attempted to cancel it over the phone. She had our confirmation number and my credit card information. It's lucky that I'm close friends with the travel agent who knew it wasn't me. Thinking we were victims of a credit card scam, she ended the call and contacted me at work. Besides nearly costing us thousands of dollars in non-refundable travel costs, we realized that Vicky had snooped through our personal belongings. How else could she have obtained my credit card numbers and the confirmation number for the trip? We canceled all our credit cards, had new ones issued, and warned Vicky that we're thoroughly checking all of our records. This has caused a huge rift in the family. While my in-laws agree that what Vicky did was wrong, they insist in the next breath that we shouldn't take it so seriously and we need to have a sense of humor. Vince and I are standing firm that Vicky is no longer welcome in our home. She has never apologized and seems to enjoy showing up at our house, forcing us to deny her entry. How can we get her to stop harassing us? And how can we get the family to recognize the seriousness of this? Deb, where do you fall in the Vince v. Vicky vendetta?
Okay, so the whole stripper at work thing, that wouldn't make me very happy.
Wouldn't make me happy, but man, is it funny.
Okay, it is pretty funny. It is pretty funny, but I wouldn't, it wouldn't make me very, I mean, like,
of course not.
Had she done it to Vince, I mean, that's her brother,
Yep.
right? Do it to him. But it kind of feels like when you're doing it to the wife that you're not really close with, that's how something gets interpreted as mean versus funny.
I totally agree, even though it's a hilarious story to tell a year later.
Okay, I agree.
No, I'm with you, but it's the wrong thing to do.
But here's the problem.
Yeah.
Then Vicky took it to a different place. And now we just all think Vicky's crazy, don't we?
Yeah, here's where this comes down. I don't even think that's funny. There's nothing
No.
funny about that. I think you married into
A
an
crazy
insane family.
Yes.
An insane family that's like, wait a minute, she stole your credit card
Yep.
information,
Yep.
acted like you calling the travel agent simply to cancel your trip
Yep.
because she thought it would be funny that you showed up to the airport ready for your 3-week excursion into Europe and then didn't have tickets to go. That's not funny.
No, that is, I mean, horrifying.
Horrifying.
Well, first of all,
What's the movie where the girl starts to act like the other girl?
oh, yeah.
What is that?
roommate
Not
thing?
Fatal Attraction.
No, it's not Fatal Attraction.
We
Isn't
talked
it
about
roommate
it.
something?
No, I don't think it's Roommate something. We've talked about it on this show. Keep going.
Anyways, so listen, and then the fact that Vicky has not apologized, that would really bother me. The fact that Vicky now shows up at the house knowing she's not going to be let in, that's weird.
Single white female.
Single white female, there you go. Because they were roommates.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, I feel like Vicky has a problem.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And I feel like the family doesn't recognize it, I mean the extended family.
Right.
And that they're trying to poo-poo it. And I would look at it like this. I don't have a problem.
Right.
Vince doesn't have a problem.
Right.
Vicky has a problem, and you all have a problem
because
you're supporting Vicky's bad behavior.
You're supporting felonious behavior.
Yes,
It's identity theft
Yes.
and it's credit
And there may
card
be
fraud.
and here's the thing. Guess what? There may be some humorous stuff threaded through that.
Yeah.
But it's still not right.
Here's where it would have been funny. Here's where the credit card identity theft would have been funny. If she didn't try to cancel anything about the
Yeah.
trip, but she added on some weird component like a fully nude over 75 burlesque show in somewhere in Germany, right?
Okay, so that would have been funny. I mean, something like that. But still, Kevin,
That's credit card fraud and identity theft. No, I
Exactly.
get it. I'm just saying, how can
Yeah.
you make credit card fraud and identity theft work for you in a humorous way?
Here's one of the things that I think, if you're going to go to those because that's a different level of joke.
Oh,
that's
it's insane.
That's not like what we've talked
That's
about
like
before,
somebody.
like-
That's like Melissa McCarthy's character putting a gun in her brother's bag before they go on the
Right,
honeymoon.
exactly.
Like, isn't that funny? Not
No,
so much.
No, not so much funny. So, it's not like the whoopee cushion and the goofy stuff we've talked
Totally.
about before. If you had a bunch of guys or girls that did these kinds of jokes to each other,
Mm-hmm.
meaning all of them, 4 or 5 of them all participated forever,
Yeah.
then it's like you go, okay, one is going to go over the edge one day. They're a bunch of crazies, but they're all just doing it to each other.
Yep.
Like that, I can kind of get behind. And who doesn't love to hear who just did the last thing?
I love a
right?
good prank.
But Vicky, this is taking on like weirdness now.
Yep.
And I mean, Vicky showing up at your door without an apology in hand,
Just showing up because she knows it's going to piss you off.
begging forgiveness. Vicky's crazy. Someone help
Crazy.
her. Yeah.
Vicky, definitely single.
Yeah.
Vicky, handful of cats.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Lots of
You
cats.
are going to
Yeah.
watch this thing escalate to where feral dead animals are going to be left on your front porch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then both of you are going to come home to half the house being burned
Yeah.
down. It is going to get
Yeah.
way worse.
I will tell you, Vicky is Fatal Attraction.
1,000%.
Yeah. And I just think these parents, and whether they don't like the wife or whatever the deal is, but they're doing it to the son too.
Yeah.
I mean, but whatever the deal was, the fact that you think it's okay to look in someone's wallet, look in someone's drawer, whatever it is she did
Insane.
to gather that information is crazy.
Absolutely crazy. For the first time, we don't side with the practical
Yes,
joker
for the first
because
time.
the practical joker is actually committing crimes.
Well, the stripper thing, we could have that's highly uncomfortable, but
That's
oh,
funny if you send it to the brother.
Yeah.
That's funny if you send a male stripper to the brother.
That'd be super funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Sending a female stripper to your sister-in-law's place of work, not so funny. Cool for all the guys who work with your
Yeah,
sister-in-law.
they were happy that day.
Not great
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
Look at us. Look at us not siding with the
Feels like
practical joker.
humiliation is what it feels like. And then it just feels like, some kind of, I don't know, she's gone crazy.
Feels like a great start to some Netflix murder documentary
It
is what it
does.
sounds like.
It does.
All right, Deb. Lots to be thankful for this week, but what are you thankful for in particular?
Well, I'm thankful that we did have a good Christmas Eve and
Oh,
a good
yeah.
Christmas Day for
Absolutely.
sure. My thankful though, I want to say this. it did snow last night. We had 4 or 5 inches on the ground.
Sure did.
And when I got up and got coffee this morning, Kevin, some sweet little 6'7" elf, had gone out and shoveled everything. I want to say impeccably.
Thank you.
And uncovered the cars.
Oh, yeah.
And driveway and the whole little courtyard thing in front. I mean, bang up job. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I, ironically, always look forward to shoveling every single time. And then when I start shoveling, I think you're a moron. Why in God's name do you like doing this? This is the worst. For the first, I would say 20 scoops, I love it. It's great. I'm a man amongst mere mortals.
Yeah.
I would say a third of the way through, I'm so unbelievably over it. I don't know why when we poured the driveway, we didn't pour a heated driveway.
Yep.
I don't know why you didn't have more kids so that I could help shoulder the load
just
with.
to shovel? Yeah.
It's the worst, the
Yeah.
absolute worst. But when it's done, it's no different than doing laundry or dirty dishes. I feel so unbelievably accomplished.
And I will tell you, this is where your OCD kicks in, and I love it, because you don't just shovel a path. You shovel like the only snow that is on our property, I mean in the front yard, is on grass.
Yep.
Nothing is on concrete.
Anywhere
at
you
all.
could walk.
Anywhere you could walk. You could go dance out there and it would be fine.
It's true.
So I'm really, really, really grateful for that.
Well, hey, I'm happy to be able to help.
I want to say another thing I'm grateful for.
Sure.
We had a friend that brought over a bundt cake Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
okay? And she knows we're gluten-free.
Yeah.
And
Well, she's gluten-free.
oh, is she gluten-free? Okay. So oh gosh, I never knew that, okay? So she was nervous to bring this bundt cake, okay? And I got nervous for her because she was nervous.
Yep.
But we sliced it looked great. It rose.
It looked impeccable.
It had chocolate over the top.
Yep.
She had whipped cream. I mean, it looked great. So we did because
Deb goes, wait. We all are going to take the same bite at the exact same time. And then we're going to do a GBBO moment with it. And I said, great. And Deb absolutely dialed into what Paul Hollywood would say. And Deb, what did you hit us with?
I said it's got a good crumb.
It's got a good crumb.
So,
but it's a bit
stodgy.
It's a bit stodgy.
It's a bit stodgy. We laughed
I was
hard
dying.
with that bite, and nobody could swallow because literally we went 1, 2, 3 bites in our mouth, right? And we all got stuck with that bite in our mouth
There's a lot of
there's and then we started laughing.
Yeah.
I tweaked out. It's got a good crumb, which then made
barely
us laugh
audible, but it was
even
funny enough.
Harder, yeah. So I just want to say, first of all, it was a great laugh.
Yep.
I am so grateful for her that she laughed
Oh,
and
yeah.
that she
Thank
wasn't
God.
offended. Yeah, that she was terrific about
lesser
it.
people would have ran out of the house.
So people know, like, if you bring food over, that could happen. You know,
If we're going to be as critical as we are of ourselves, imagine
Yeah.
when you bring food to us.
Yeah.
Which is why our friend Beth just brings us the ingredients and says, you have at it.
Which Beth is smarter than
It's
everybody else.
very
for sure.
smart.
But the flavor was delicious.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, the flavor was delicious.
Cooking
She did a good
gluten-free is
job.
dang near impossible.
And I will tell you this. I have been at restaurants would serve that.
Totally.
I have had way worse gluten-free
1,000.
out and about.
1,000%.
But that was fun.
My thankful is just continuing with the food conversation that we're having. We have so much food in this house right now. It is like the idea that we don't have to think about what we're going to eat probably for the next 4 days is the biggest gift you could give to us. We have beef stew, we have Indian food, we have Thai food, we have the steaks, the scalloped potatoes, we have the strata, we have chips and snacks. We have so much food in this house. It is the best. Like, just, you don't have to say, like, what do you want for dinner tonight? Just help yourself. You don't have to wonder, like, oh, am I going to have to assemble a lunch? You just make whatever you want to make. It is the most freeing feeling. People who A, care about food, and who B, make food. It's the most freeing feeling we can have in the moment.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Because everything in there is really good. Some stuff is even better the next day. And then you can do this whole assortment of, you know, a world cuisine. So, Kevin, ask me.
Deb, what's for dinner tonight?
So, one of the things that we have left over are these great chicken meatballs.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to make kind of like a little hoagies with the chicken meatballs. I'm going to do a little grilled onion. We're going to do a grilled bun with grilled cheese on it. It's going to be good.
Like a sub sandwich.
Like a little sub
a
sandwich.
A meatball sub.
A meatball sub. Yep. That's what we're going to do.
That sounds delicious. I don't know how we're going to make it look good, but it sounds delicious.
It'll be good.
Maybe we'll throw some chips on the side of it.
Do that.
Just some regular tortilla chips.
Thinking, so regular tortilla chips would be great, or any of the new potato chips.
True.
Whatever you want. Or a side of strata, whatever. We'll have a side on.
Whatever sounds good.
Exactly.
If you want more meat and cheese and bread with your meat and cheese and bread, we have so much food in this house, we can give it to you.
We do.
I love it.
We do.
That is going to do it for this episode of the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like, rate, and review wherever you listen to this podcast. It's the end of the year. You got nothing going on anyways. Just like, rate, and review us, okay? Come on, throw us a bone. Throw us a like. And if you want, you can follow us on all of our social channels at Deb and Kev Pod, and you can see our shining faces one more time in the year of 2021 at our YouTube channel at Deb and Kev Pod. Mom, I love you to death.
I love you, baby.
We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Thank you for listening to the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow Deb and Kev on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter at Deb and Kev Pod.